Teachers Pep Rally, everyone. If you missed our last episode, we discussed the power of equity in the classroom with Max Gertz, including using tools from Instructure and Canva. If you missed the conversation, go back, check it out on your favorite audio platform or by visiting our YouTube channel. Please like it, share it, and review it. Today, we are thrilled to welcome a dynamic middle school band director who has been inspiring students with her love for music since 2005. Her innovative approach to teaching not only demystifies the instruments of a band, but also creates a vibrant community that brings both new and former band members together. Sounds like our friend Pete Bush.
I love it.
Get ready to dive into her journey, discover her expert techniques, and ignite your own musical passion. Welcome to the Teachers Pep Rally, Rachel Allen.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
We should have brought our instruments to play when we introduced you. So glad that you are here. I'm very excited, and like I've said before, I'm hoping I can sit here and just eat popcorn and listen to you, Pete nerd out. We love supporting our music, performing arts, all our creative educators. So I wanted to ask you just to kind of get like a little bit of your personal story. You showcase a lot of different instruments, which is impressive to me on social media, and I think even YouTube. What instrument did you primarily play growing up?
Well, I started middle school band on clarinet, and I played that through high school. And then in high school, we needed more trumpet players in our marching band. And I'd been sitting in front of the trumpets for, the past 5 years. And I was like, I want to learn that. And so I'll do that. And so I taught myself the trumpet and started doing that in marching band, playing clarinet and concert band. And then I just got the instrument bug. I wanted to learn them all and kind of taught myself. And then, so those are the instruments I sort of played growing up. Now I kind of played them all because it's my job.
Do you have students ask you that question? I'm sure they're mesmerized by all the instruments you can play.
Yeah, they do ask. And, I like to tell them like, hey, like, would you want to learn from somebody who couldn't play your instrument? And if I can't really play their instrument that well, I'm really honest with them. And I try to point them in like the best direction to make sure that they understand like what's going on with their instrument. Like, I'm not a great bassoon player, but I can point them to everything that they're going to need in order to succeed as a bassoon player. Cool. It's like having a baseball team. You've got the pitching coach, you've got the catching coach, you've got the peanut coach. I don't know. But like they've got all these special coaches for the special positions. Well, there's one of me and I got to be able to do it all.
That's right. That's right. And I love that you're just being authentic and real and sharing with them. You're human like they are, and you don't know it all. And let's try to figure this out together. Right.
Yeah. All I know is I know more than they do.
That's right. That's right. And they probably know it. Pete?
Yeah.
So Rachel, I remember in music school, professors would say, you teach elementary for love of the kids, you teach high school for love of the students, for the love of the subject. Nobody knows why anybody teaches middle school, choral band or whatever music. What drew you to middle school? Have you always been in the middle school level? What's that story?
I was drawn to middle school because of the job. There was a job, Pete, as being an elementary person, that there's one teacher at a school.
Yep.
There's not like an army of English teachers. Like there's not an army of band directors. There's like 7 English jobs at a school. There's one band job.
Yep.
Per school, typically, at least in the most states in America. And so I had taught high school for 3 years. I was an assistant band director. I didn't want to be an assistant anymore. No offense to those who are. It's just I was ready to sail my own ship.
Yep.
And I decided to take the middle school job that had just opened up. And I was like, okay, I'll do this for a little while. And I got there and I was like, I am never leaving this. This is wonderful. The kids love to learn. They're so excited because band has not been an option for them. Like they do it in 5th grade a little bit. And then they come to me and they're like, I get to do this every day. This is the best thing ever.
Right.
And so they love the class. They want to learn. I can pick my curriculum practically because like I just pick new music all the time and I can do, it's just, I have a lot of freedom. Yep. to teach in middle school. And plus I get to really teach. When you're in high school, you get to rehearse, but it's a lot of logistics and administration and keeping up with all the trips you take. And
I agree.
And so with middle school, I was like, oh, I'm actually teaching. Like I was tired at the end of a day.
Yep.
Like when I taught in middle school versus in high school where I was like, oh, my day's not even over. I got to go to a football game now. And so middle school is where it's at, in my opinion. I still get to
I'm
play
with you.
great music with the kids, and there's fantastic musicians there, and I love teaching them. So
And you're helping them find their voice. You're helping them find their
Yeah.
tribe. And, they're not in elementary anymore, but they're also not in high school anymore. They're still moldable in a lot of ways. And gosh, they need us. So I've
They
done the
do.
middle school level before, and it takes a very special person to do it. So I love that. That's great.
I'm curious, when you get into middle school, and I played a little bit in middle school, but when you get in middle school, are you kind of also trying to help coach or help students who might want to keep staying playing an instrument through high school or even beyond to try to kind of hone into the particular instrument that they're going to focus on? Or is middle school still, hey, let's try to figure it out a little bit and play around?
Yeah, I definitely guide them in their journey and try to get them locked in on what they want to do for the rest of their career. And sometimes that is trying several instruments and figuring that out. Sometimes they get that instrument bug in middle school. Like I've got a kid right now who's playing like 3 instruments, and that's great. But I also have a kid who learned an instrument this past summer, and then she was like, I kind of want to stick with the one I have right now. And she's just like diving in, and I'm giving her resources, pointing her towards private teachers, and getting her signed up for solo and ensemble, because I know that's going to help her succeed in the future as well. You can tell when a kid's really into it.
Mhm.
And you've got to really push them. Like I had a piano player a few years ago who he was outplaying his teacher. Like I was like, your teacher's great, but you need a better teacher. Like I had to go find him like a more advanced piano teacher because and his teacher agreed. She was like, yeah, I don't have much to teach him anymore. And so we got him going into like a studio of sort of savant-y kids. And
Mhm.
now he's in grad school for piano performance. And but I feel like I had a little bit of a role in making sure that he like succeeded in that. And someone could have just been like, oh, you're a good piano player, and then been like,
Yeah.
okay. But I made sure that he got on a path to make for success.
So Fred's been playing the kazoo. Do you know anyone that can maybe take him to that next?
I'm struggling though. I'm struggling.
I could
It's just
teach
one note
anyone-
constantly.
I could teach any of you how to play the saxophone. The saxophone is easy. Anyone can play it. It's so easy.
I'll sign up. That's awesome.
So yeah, that's something I don't think a lot of people know about me is I played clarinet for 8 years. So
cool. Nice.
Yeah, so I did the marching band. And I'm a former military person, so it was nice moving from the marching to the other marching, So
Yeah. Right.
I enjoyed it. I have a question for you though. So as you're saying all this, because I'm on the tech side of things, what's your thoughts on the relationship between math and the sciences, and also learning how to read music and play music?
Well, to me, kids who are pretty good at math to begin with are typically better at pretty natural at music, in my opinion. Like they just sort of it just falls right in for them. And I've noticed that kids who struggle with reading, if they are in a program where they're reading music, it makes them better readers, because that's literally what we're doing. We're reading music, which is the same skill as reading English, a language. So I'm currently teaching beginners. Right now I have a little after school program with my 5th graders, and there are 41 of them. And I'm constantly telling them, put your eyes on the music, put your eyes on the music, because they think they can do it without looking at it, but it's a language. They've got to be able to look at that music. I've had kids come in who've been on IEPs and 504s for various issues. And in like 6th grade, they're in beginning band with me. And then by 8th grade, their issues are gone because they were in the band and they were reading music, and they're great musicians and well-rounded kids. So
That's awesome. And we're jumping a little ahead, but I think this ties nicely into some of the stuff that I know that you really do put out there. And that's that building a band community, a music community is so important. And it sounds like you not just kind of try to pay attention to what the different students' maybe personal needs are, but also encourage them to do it together. So how have you kind of found that building a community with your students and through music first of all, how have you been able to do that? And second of all, what are some of the rewards from seeing that happen?
Well, I think that it's all about making band fun. Like, first of all, I think playing an instrument is fun.
Yeah.
And I tend to really celebrate their wins.
Yeah.
Like when they do something right at the beginning, I am jumping up and down. I am running around the room. I make them feel like superstars because they are. They're 10 years old and they're like playing a song, and they've never been able to do that before. And I want them to feel like they're the coolest kids on earth, because that's going to keep them wanting to come back. That hit of dopamine that I'm giving them. And like, it's all about just keeping them there, wanting them to keep playing. And, and this is where I lose some kids. And I've had to learn this balance over the years. Is it's fun, but we also have high expectations.
Yep.
The bar is not on the floor. It's way up here. And yes, we played hot cross buns. Yes. Great job. That was great. Now let's make it better. Let's each time get better and strive for excellence. I had a student one time being like, I said, all right, we want to strive for excellence. We want to be the best that we can be. And he was like, And I said, no, we're not just being, no, we've got to be the best what you can be. And I tell them, your best is always better than you think. Yeah. And it's like that with everything. So, getting those kids sitting in those seats, making it really fun, making them feel like rock stars, and then this is the last piece that I think is the most important, is handing them high quality music. You can't just play Come to Jesus and whole notes. You have to play good music.
Yep.
So I'm curious, can you tell me a little bit about what are some of the things on your list of good music? And then Pete, I kind of might ask you the same.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel, what do you think?
Good music is subjective, just like,
Yeah, that's why I'd love to hear both of your opinions, because
just like literature, you were an English teacher, is that right?
That's right.
So like, you have opinions about books and literature and about what was good, and that's okay. And that to me is the best part of our job, is like, I'm allowed to like this and I'm allowed to not like this. But if I'm going to be teaching it, I want to like it. And that's what the freedom I love about teaching band is. I get to always like it. I'm not being forced to teach something that I don't like. But also at the same time, it's not just liking it, it's making sure it's well crafted. So in a band, they're all different instruments and they don't all play the same part at the same time. And oftentimes when you get a piece of music written for a 6th or 7th grade band, the trumpets will have the melody, the flutes will have the melody, there'll be a bass line, there'll be some harmony, but everyone wants to play the melody. Everybody wants to play the singable part of the song. Everybody wants a cool part that's going to be fun to play. And a lot of times composers will just give the melody to the flutes or the clarinets or the trumpets. The percussion gets to do something cool, and then everybody else gets to do something boring. So like, I have tons of music that's in my library that I'm never going to play because the trombones don't get a cool part. The saxophones are resting the whole time. The tuba is playing whole notes the whole time. So you have to find a balance of playing good music by looking for good music and having the connection to good composers and a community of people who are talking about band music. I'm in a band director Facebook group, and we share music all the time. I'm friends with a ton of composers on Facebook, just so I can see the next music they're coming out with. Honestly, being in the social media that I am, kids comment on my posts all the time saying, oh, we're playing this song in band. And I'm like, oh, let's check it out. Never heard of that one. Because there's bad music out there, but there's also a lot of good music. So you just have to find it and make sure that it's in your kids' hands and you're playing it.
Yeah, I mean, it is like an English teacher's classroom, right? I had bookshelves of poetry and plays and novels, you know what I mean? And a variety of them. A lot of them were ones that I love, but I also was listening to what the students liked and wanted to make sure those were available to them, whether I really liked them or not, because that's where they're going to get the passion to continue to do something, is when they're seeing themselves plug in. So I love that answer, Rachel.
It's interesting too, like we were saying about the parts, like, so you have first chair, second chair, third chair. Like, it only relate to the clarinets and saxophones in that regards, but like there's music today that I know that I played at our Christmas concert, or
Mhm.
or spring concerts many years ago, and there's symphony pieces, and I'll hone in on the part that I played, and I have a different appreciation for a lot of that music. Like I listen for those little, those
Mhm.
I guess those pieces. But that's kind of cool because it kind of connects you to that, and that's something that stays with you forever.
Absolutely.
It's neat.
Yeah, my middle school band, I grew up in the 90s and we played like an arrangement of Paula Abdul's Cold Hearted Snake.
Nice.
Like what a gem, of a
Well, the
song,
dust off
you
that.
know. Yeah, all right. Like we were in love with it. And to me, like I'm always hearing my clarinet part when I hear that song,
Yeah.
So
You know, at my level, I think my job is to spark a lifelong love of the arts and of music, and hopefully set them on a path to be a musical being for life. Do I want them to be a professional musician? Of course not. They don't have to
Yeah.
be. I just want them to be a musical being, because I believe that will equal them being a more successful being, a healthier being, a happier being. And I do think we're at a disadvantage, though, because all the other classes, when you're done with something in art, when you're done with something in STEM, when you're done with something in PE or any of the regular subjects, they're finishing at the end of a few weeks or a lesson, and they have something in their hand. They have something tangible. I made this. Look at what I did. And with us being the most abstract of the art forms, living in this day and age where it's push, it's at my door, push, it's streaming, push, it's here, push, it's that. Music doesn't work that way. There's no push. We're hardwiring your brain, and what you're learning in our classrooms right now, you're going to be able to do when you're 88 years old, and I tell them that all the time, so we're looking at, as the year progresses with some of the older groups, we'll be looking into songwriting. We do modern band and stuff like that. And what I'm doing now is I just started introducing this week. I try to hook them into the songwriting. So we're going to do a unit where, and I love this, but they're going to make their own beats, whether garage band or something. They're going to make their own beats, but then they have to pick a children's book. Usually, with March, they usually do Dr. Seuss, but we love wrapping the Dr. Seuss books to beats that they create. Then we notate a little bit of it. Then we'll produce a little bit. We'll do some editing and all, and then we'll go into hopefully songwriting and doing something a little bit bigger, maybe modern band. Maybe end of the year we do a little battle of the bands. And wouldn't it be great if one class does an original? I think my kids know it doesn't have to be some dead white European guy, from a long time. There would be good music and be quality.
Right.
And what I think is good doesn't have to be good in their eyes. I want them to know that there's a conversation, but I want them to be able to put it into words. Why do they think it's good? Why do they think there's thought into it? Why there's a craft there? Or is it just some idiot putting stuff together to make a buck using the same chord progression for the millionth time? So, but I welcome the opportunity to learn from them what they like, and I will try to hook that into where I need to go with them. Let's talk about this, and we're going to go into jazz. Let's talk about this, and let's go into that. I try to use some of that as a springboard, but there's a lot out there to be careful of.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I feel like we're the Walmart greeters of music in the world. And, we're getting them in the door and, showing them where things are for sure. And at the same time, like our performances are what they get.
Right.
I tell the kids, like, these are once in a lifetime.
Yep.
Yeah, you can listen to a recording of it, but it's not going to be the same. You're going to be there and you're going to be in that feeling. And that's what gets the kids coming back.
Yep.
After a concert, they are hooked and they want that feeling again of being able to stand up at the end and people are cheering and clapping for them. And like, they don't believe that they're going to be clapped for.
Yep.
It's cool.
Like we will practice the whole standing up and I'm like, they're going to be clapping and cheering. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yes, they are, and they're like, just because we're their kids. And I'm like, no, it's going to sound good. And the amount of like cards I get after my last concert, I got 2 cards from grandparents who were in from out of town. And they were like, we just wanted to tell you how great your concert was. And like,
That's nice.
like the goal is to make the music good too. Like you want it to sound good.
Right.
And so like that's a balance too of making sure you don't pick something too hard
Right.
or, too easy that's boring. So, but yeah, I totally agree with the, just got to make them music lovers and make them. I like to think about them as even if they're not going to continue into band in the world. I want them to have an experience that they'll want their child to have the same experience.
Exactly. Yeah. We
Yeah.
have a concert tomorrow, and there was a boy that's been making a big deal last week or so. I'm not going. I have baseball practice, and he was trying to get the other boys in his class. You come in, we're going to baseball practice. We're not going to this concert. And all. Today we had our little dress rehearsal, and I needed everybody on the risers in the right spots. And I said, if you think you're not coming, I need you to sit in the audience because I need to see our spacing. And that he came up to me and tugged me on the arm, and said, Mr. Bush, I think I want to be in it. I think I want to be in it now. And I talked to them after. I said, listen, you're going to have this one concert one time your whole life. We're not doing this again. You're going to have a million other baseball practices. And I'm not degrading that, but it's a practice. You're not in the championship. I want you to be as well-rounded as possible. And that's fine. If you make that choice, you're not doing it, your parents don't, that's fine. But don't be a cheerleader and try to get other people on to follow you when everybody else is involved. And I think we melted away some of those insecurities, and he'll be there tomorrow night. So I hear you.
That's awesome, Pete. So I'm curious, Rachel, and Pete sometimes share, I mean, we all share stories. Like when you're in education, I always say, embrace the crazy, because you never know day to day what's going to happen. The thing that got me so tickled, and I think Fred has a story that he thought was funny that you shared too. You were showing just kind of the day-to-day stuff of what it's like to be a teacher, but also to be a music teacher. And I saw a video you had done where you were adjusting the stand for the sheet music, and it kept going down, and then you would adjust it again, and it kept going down again. Are there any fun, and we could all kind of jump in, but I just, if we don't laugh sometimes about these things, what are we doing? Right. Like, so do you have some other funny moments of just what it's like just being a teacher, being a music teacher, being a band director?
Yeah, I don't know. Like every day there's something. Like some kid has something go completely wrong and you've got to fix it. And they're holding expensive instruments. And like one time I had a kid his trumpet was just not working right. I don't know what it was. He kept getting bad sounds out of it. And I was like trying to fix the valves. And that's typically what's wrong with the trumpet when it's going and nothing's happening. And then like someone was like, oh, look in the bell of the trumpet. And I was like, what's in the bell? There was a minifig character in the bell of the trumpet.
Oh no.
Like someone's little brother had gotten in there and like thrown it in and gotten it stuck in there. So I'm having to get it out, and one time somebody threw something, a tissue or a paper towel, or it was something bigger than that, in a tuba, like inside the tuba. The tuba has a bell that's up here and it fell right in there. And I remember like putting duct tape on the end of a drumstick and then like taping the other drumstick just to be able to get it in there and get it out. I was like, crazy stuff like that, that other teachers don't have to necessarily deal with.
That happens every class, all the time, every day. And it's like, I wish I had a moment to remember it, to write it down. A few years ago, Erin even gave me a book to write things down, these funny things that happen in class. And it's blank still because we just never have a moment. We're all putting up the next fire. It's never ending.
I have a student teacher right now, so I am absolutely blessed to have another set of hands in the classroom, and it's a dream. I'm sucking up every ounce of this moment until next Friday when she's gone. So doing it alone is tough.
Yeah.
Speaking of real quick, just to kind of just relate to you all, a couple weeks ago, the school district I'm in right now, they're doing the Teachers of the Year at each school. So I was asked to go to one of the high schools and just go and do the observations, evaluations for the day. And one of the teachers was their chorus and music teacher, and she has a student teacher, Rachel, and I had one all the years in my English classroom, and it was just such a mutual joy. But it was so great, guys, because as she was teaching and the students were, this was, I think, chorus, because they were all singing, the mannerisms of the student teacher, I was more enthralled with her because you could tell she really wanted this is what she wants to do. And she wanted to learn it so much. And I kept watching her because the joy on her face of just watching these students, and she wasn't even teaching the lesson. And as the teacher would stand up and do the hands for, kind of instructing the singers what to do and compose. I guess that's conducting. Thank you.
Yes.
I was watching the student teacher who's sitting way on the other side of the room, literally conducting from her seat. And it just was, I'm still smiling thinking about it because I'm like, that's what it's about, right? Like
it's the best job in the world. And like I have bad days. Don't get me wrong. There are days that I do things that I mess up. There are days where I'm frustrated at the adults, because it's always the adults. We know that. And even us, we are the adult. That's the problem. And frustrated at myself. But they're like, when it comes down to it, it's the best job in the world. Like, I can't imagine doing anything else.
That's awesome. Wait, Fred, one more thing. I have one more question. I've always wanted to ask this because I had a lot of friends in the band who played clarinet, saxophone, trumpet, tuba, all those. Spit valve. Do you have spit? That has got to be
the nastiest thing ever.
Part of it maybe sometimes is a little.
That's nothing compared to what, like, because kids will be like, oh, something's wrong with my instrument. And then they hand you their whole instrument and it's leaking literally on you when you're doing it. Or like, or their reeds get so gross and moldy. Like, they're so bad. So honestly, and like cleaning out mouthpieces and stuff, and like that's way worse. Spit valve is like, whatever. Like, I do tell them to use the trash can because we have carpet in our band room. So I try to I'm like, if you've got a lot in there, try to hit the trash can. Like, don't let it go on the carpet. But it's gross. But I don't know. It was really kind of scary during COVID. That's when they were literally blowing air at me, and I wasn't sure if I was going to have a career anymore. And so, but I'm really glad we're out of that.
Yes, we are too. Fred, I cut you off. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just, I know it's good. It's all good. It's, you had me thinking about a bunch of things anyway, but I was like, I have a lot of memories. And the one thing I was just reflecting on, and I know it was maybe one of the questions that was shared with you was about warm-up exercises. That's probably the most memorable thing I could think of in school was the sound of the warm-ups, because you knew what else was getting ready to come. Like, it was like this thing going through it. Yeah. So what kind of, is that a standard thing, or do you do anything different that's more engaging, or is there, or as engaging, I guess, but what's your secret sauce for that?
So when it comes to warming up, it's like, your bell ringer in a regular classroom. It's the stuff that they're going to do. Well, they get their instruments out and then we all warm up together. Like, my goal is we all play together. But I try to keep it as consistent as possible because that's what those kids need when they roll in there. They need to be able to do something. It's not mindless, but it's muscle memory for them. And so they literally are warming up. It's like stretching before athletics. So literally doing the same warm up, but as their skills increase, they get a new warm up. So like we always use the book my method book that I teach out of gives a new warm up every like 12 pages. So they're pumped when they get a new warm up because it's different, and I'm sad to lose the old one because then I have to teach it again. But, but it's okay. No, there are certain ones that I'm like, oh yes, this warm up is the best because it's going to hone this skill, which is going to help them in this next skill and take them to the next level. So yeah, I think a warm up is really important. I don't spend a ton of time on it because like they want to play the music and so consistency is key though. In the middle school classroom, their life and bodies are out of balance. Most of the time they need as much consistency and routine as possible. So I only change it up every once in a while.
That's interesting.
That's a great point. That's a great point. We've talked about this a little bit with Pete and some other guests we've had on, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What are some things that you wished educators understood about your role? Because like you said, there's only one of you, right? So what are some things that you wish that they understood?
I see Pete already laughing, like he knows. I'm going to say this, and I don't want to hurt people's feelings, but it's true for a lot of people. Is like my class and chorus class, and it are sometimes like the reason kids come to school.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in like the other classes aren't great or that there aren't other teachers that are inspiring. I've literally had students tell me, your class was the reason I came to school. I had a kid who attempted suicide who told me that. Like I know I'm the lifeline for a lot of these kids. And it's hard for me to take a day off because then I come back and they're like, oh, thank God you're back. Because no one else can do my job. Someone else can come in and hand out a worksheet or show the video and talk about something, but no one can come in and do my job.
Yep.
And, no one else in the school can come in and do my job, even because we cover classes now, there's not a lot of subs. But I just wish that, people knew that side of it more, that, if you support me, like the kids, will work better for you, I think. And, we can all work together.
Right.
Like, I know that their academics come first. I get that. But if it weren't for classes like this, I don't know how they would be surviving. It was my favorite class of the day. It was, it was oftentimes what got me through the day. And so I want to be a safe space. And I'm a little brash sometimes, and I'm not always the most likable adult in the school, because I'm not necessarily there to be friends with people. I'm there to teach children. And so that often comes off like in the not the best light. And I wish I was better at that. But I'm also just like, I feel like I'm not great at being like with adults sometimes. And unless they're like-minded, like very like-minded kind of adults and whatnot. So that's just a little inside. So I just wish that like people would see just how hard it is to do the job that I do, literally teaching, up to 10 different instruments in every class and being able to speak all the different languages. Because not only are they all in different instruments, they all are in a different language.
Yeah.
The saxophone does not play the same notes as the clarinet. The clarinet doesn't play the same notes as the trombone. The tuba does not play the same notes as the saxophone. Like, they're literally all in different keys. So I can't even say, okay, everybody play your B flat. No, that doesn't work. Like, because a B flat for a flute is not the same as a clarinet. That's a C. And the saxophone.
Yep.
So it is constantly like speaking in different languages. And I had an administrator one time being like, I just want to see some more differentiation. And I was like,
Holy moly.
I was like, that's literally what I'm doing. The entire class is differentiation.
That stuff drives me crazy.
So that's a long, long time ago. I've been doing this 20 years. So, but it was just like I wish they understood that like it is pretty tricky, and to do all that in one class, to keep them all happy, to deal with the interruptions, to deal with the parents, to deal with like the instruments breaking. Imagine you're teaching an English class and everybody's notebook broke.
Right.
Every pages are falling out of their books.
Yeah, that'd be a problem.
Yeah. Your pencil breaks. Oh, well, you can go sharpen it. Well, my reed broke. I got to go get another one. Oh, I don't have any more. They're $30 a box, and I got to go to the music store or order them on Amazon. There's just lots of things like that. So I think people who were in the band get it. Like, I have several teachers at my school that just, they walk by and they smile. They get it. Like, I taught several teachers at my school that came back and now are teachers, and they get it. And that's okay. It's the ones who don't, like, it's not their fault. It's okay. It isn't at all, but that's what I wish they knew. So,
we talk about a lot on here. We believe that we all play a role in the students' lives in learning.
yes.
Right. So it doesn't matter if you're the nutritionist in the cafeteria, to the music teacher, to the AP bio teacher, whatever, to the principal, we all have, or to the professor, Fred, like, right. We all touch the lives of these students in some way. And so let's just give each other grace and lift each other up and be excited about those students who do, for whatever reason, band is like their thing and they wouldn't make it through school if they didn't have it, or math is the thing they love to do. And if they didn't have that, right. Or sometimes it's just being around other kids and lunchtimes that's fine. Okay, fine. Yeah. Right. But we've got to have something for people to.
And another thing that's really cool about being a band director and a choir director, at least in my situation, and and I think in a lot of schools is that we are oftentimes the teacher who is with them the most throughout their entire time in our school.
Yep.
So like I
Yeah.
see my band kids every single day, grades 6 through 8.
Mhm.
I get to literally watch them grow up. They
Yep.
come in little kids and they leave young adults. So like the only other people who see kids every single day are the cafeteria workers at my
Yep.
school for 3 years. And so that is one of the coolest things about my job is getting to do that with them. And I get to work over the summer with them too. So I'm seeing them over the summer. Our relationship runs so deep. I
Yep.
know so much about their families. I'm sitting with them waiting on their parents to pick them up. Conversations you have when you are waiting on a parent to pick up a kid. Woo! And
Or on a trip
conversations.
too. That's a
Yeah,
lot too.
or
That's
on a trip. Oh yeah, you're on a bus trip and you're sitting next
Band
to a
trip.
kid and they're just they're filling your ear with, with who knows what, and you just really get to know those kids, and it's special. It's very special.
it's a huge part of their upbringing. It's a huge part of what they remember when you say, "What give us some memories from school?" It's a huge part.
Mhm.
I think a healthy school should be like a healthy person. There's a part that I say, "Oh, that's more of the brains of the school. Oh, that's more the eyes and the ears of the school. That's the muscle of the school. That's the backbone of the school." All this, and I feel the arts, especially music. I feel like we're the heartbeat of the school, and I think so much when that's active and engaging, and there's kids in there. I mean, I was in a meeting a few days ago, and all these kids have behavior plans and this and that, and I'm like, I don't have anything to give you because I don't see that for the most part in my classroom with these kids. Now these other kids I'll talk to you about, but they're not on your list right now.
Mhm.
But these ones that you're after right now, I don't see those problems. Maybe we could take something that we're doing in this room and put it in there to help him.
Yeah, and we're always the one that they want to cut too.
Yep.
They're like, oh, we want to make this better. Well, let's just take less of this, less of what they love, and give them more math. Not that more math is bad, but
Balance. Just balance.
yeah,
Balance.
balance it. Moderate life in moderation.
Yep.
So,
But you said you're saying something really important too, and I think some people get this, and it's the community aspect. And you think about the social skills, and automatically you think about sports, right? So you kind of think, oh, you got to go be on a team sport, or you do like basketball or baseball or soccer or whatever. That's all great, but the community building that exists, right, and that occurs in music, that I even experienced. Matter of fact, I just met one of my best friends from high school the other day. He is a musician. He plays in a band. He's been playing in a band, and our friendship was born. He was a trombone player. I played in the woodwinds. That's where it began in 6th grade.
yeah.
And we continue that friendship. And I had a lot of friendships like that. And the socialization. What's that? What do you think is that key thing though with the community? What is that?
Well, I
Is it
think
anything different?
it's a lot like the sports. Absolutely. My dad was a huge athlete. He was, year-round athlete, all state football, baseball, track. He did it all. And, I have kids now and he's always like, oh, they need to get on team sports. And, I have the best memories of being on my team with this and that. And I said, Dad, I have the same experiences from being in band. Like I was in sports too. Don't get me wrong. I had some great relationships with the teams that I was on, but it's a different kind of team when you're in the band or you're in the chorus, or even if you're in the theater. Like my kids are involved in local theater. And to me, that is a huge community that kids can be a part of and feel safe and welcoming. And, it does take the right coach and the right leaders and all of that. That's a huge piece. And I think also something that is not talked about a whole lot is the availability. So oftentimes when you are wanting to be in a sport, it costs money.
Yeah.
Like you've got to pay for that sport, or you want to be in the band. There's an instrument. It's expensive. I have so many school-owned instruments that I've collected over the years that I could probably have almost the same size band I have right now without having parents buy their own instruments. Like I would figure it out. I've got tons over the years of just donated. People will be like, oh, I was in the band. We're done with my instrument. Can I donate it? Yes, absolutely. I will have a kid who can play it. Like, let's get it in these kids' hands. And to me, that's availability. Like,
Totally.
like you don't need to have any money. Like
Yeah.
And I think there are people like that in my childhood that said, oh, it's okay, you don't need any money, because I grew up pretty poor, and who were like, oh, I'm going to make this available for you.
Yep.
And I think that that's, knowing that you can be a part of a community that might cost money, but they're letting you in. That's huge.
Yep. Yep. If I know there's a need, if it's expressed to me and there's a comfort, yes, I'm trusting this with you. Will you please help us? There's never been a student in my 20 years of teaching that's been turned away from any of my programs because of finances. We
Right.
figure out a way.
Right. Exactly. You just
we
have
got
to
a great-
ask, or I have knowledge is power, and if I don't know, I can't help.
Yep. Exactly.
So
I want to give a shout out. We got Paul Gouder, a good friend of ours, and I know his daughter participated, and he said, yes, I marched in high school and college. My daughter marched and did winter guard. So awesome to see the activity through her eyes. Yeah, that's really cool, Paul. Thanks for sharing that.
I was the they called me the Band-Aid. So a
Nice.
lot of my friends were in the band and I hung out with them. So I was the Band-Aid. But
see, I had a completely different experience. Like my friends, we were all in band in middle school, but then when we got to high school, only a couple of them kind of stuck it out. And so, but I was still friends with all those guys. But I would hang out with them, and they'd be like, "Oh, you have band?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have band." Like, and it wasn't necessarily about the friendships; it was about the music, and it was about making new friends there. And that was, I think, I did sort of step out of my comfort zone when I did continue high school band by kind of paving my own way, and because not having my closest friends with me,
Yep.
so and that kind of set me on a path for sure.
yeah.
That's really cool.
Do you do any band trips? And if so, what are some of the ones that you've had in the last couple of years?
So that's one of the best parts of my job is I get to go to amusement parks for free. And
We are huge Disney fans. That's kind of how we met, the three of us, to be honest.
Okay.
So that's why I had to ask that.
I am not close enough to Disney to justify a trip like that for my students.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I'm located in the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia. So we're about an hour outside of DC, Baltimore. And so we go to King's Dominion
Yep.
every year with the
Nice.
jazz band, and we go to Hershey Park
Yep.
with 8th grade band.
That's right in my neck of the woods. Yeah.
It's a great park. That's
it is a
so-
great
that's
park, and I get to
wonderful.
go every year, and it's a blast because teachers, they always give free teachers,
Yep.
things, and it's so much fun. With my jazz band, we actually do go and compete, which is always a fun thing to do. Dragging your instruments through the music park, through the park is like pretty crazy, but it's sort of an incentive because they work extra hard during the school year. My jazz band is a class that's kind of in our homeroom, so it's only 30 minutes, and they don't get graded for it. It's all extra, and we go and we compete throughout the year too. But that's kind of like our end of the year. Okay, we're going to go do this competition, and then we're going to have fun at the park all day. And then in Hershey Park, I just take the chorus and band at my school. We all go together in 8th grade, and it's just a fun day. It's not competing. It's just, hey, we were in band for 3 years. Let's all go hang out for the day at the amusement park.
So wait, are you a roller coaster rider?
Oh, yes.
So that, I think Hershey Park is probably one of the
Yeah.
better roller coaster parks in the country right now. It's like a
Absolutely,
great place to go. Yeah.
As long as you go on the right day, which I
Yes.
have learned is a special science.
Yeah, because of lines.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So, yeah, and when we go to King's Dominion, we always go in like early May, and the lines are always great because no one else is there. So we walk on half the rides there, which is great.
I haven't
One
been
of the
there in a
parks.
while. Yeah.
What blows my mind about Hershey is like, you're on the Skyway and you're looking over people's houses that's built right up and then the ride goes in between somebody's yard and the
Yeah.
water park's in somebody's backyard. It's like, this
Yep.
is unbelievable. It's such a beautiful residence. It's just,
Yeah, but I will say that things like that are above and beyond of what we're expected to do. Like that is not
Yes.
that is not the norm, and a lot of programs can't handle doing that. You have to fundraise, or you have to charge your kids things. So fundraising is a huge part of our program. Our budget every year is like, for our chorus and our band, because we work together as a team, our budget is like $25,000. And we raise that every year. And we kind of have a little that carries over, and, I always try to have a buffer that takes me through the summer. And, but yeah, it's a lot of money. We go to a lot of events, and, budgets get cut. And then, 10 years ago we had money for this, but now it's the county doesn't pay for that anymore. So it's on the parents to raise the money for it, or the kids to raise the money for it. So, all of those things are above and beyond. Like, I do not have to do that for my job. But creating that situation is key to the community, I think.
Yeah. What was I say? What's your go-to fundraiser?
It's called Double Good Popcorn, and I will never do another fundraiser again that's not Double Good Popcorn. If you have never had it, it's delicious. First of all, it's a you're like, oh, popcorn, yeah. No, this is different. It's small batch, so like you're like, if you're ever going to like a market and they're like got like small batch popcorn that's like gourmet style, that's what this is. But the best part about it is not the popcorn. It's the fact that it's contactless. It's all done in an app on your phone, and kids just share it and people buy it and it gets delivered straight to their house. And
wow.
we made $12,000 in 4 days in October.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome. Fred's like
Wha-
popcorn.
wha- One more plug on that again. What was it again?
it's called Double Good Popcorn. I'm actually selling it for my alumni chapter of my fraternity that I'm in right now.
Come on, Fred.
We're currently in that, but it's great. I used to do like paper pencil order forms, collect money. We would make about the same amount of money, and it was 20 times the work. So I'm never going back to that again.
Yep.
I love to do event fundraisers, like having a dance, because that, kids want to go to the dance at the school. We used to have like Zumba classes back when Zumba was big. And you could just pay to go to the Zumba class and it would be like an hour long. Yeah, exactly. And like we used to have bake sales and things, but now like I have a family, and so I don't necessarily want to give up a lot of my free time for things like that. So I have found ways to make money without things. And I am I feel like if there's a grant, I'm going to apply for it and I'm going to get it. Like I've probably gotten $100,000 worth of grants in the past 20 years of my career.
That's a great reminder. I tell educators that all the time when they want to do things. I'm like, have you tried to apply for a grant? Because
it's free money.
And there's so many of them, and you'll never know. Like I know so many people that get them. So that's a really good reminder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Rachel,
That's awesome.
This has been amazing. I'm very curious. We ask every guest this question, but just some of the little sparks and things that you've talked about today. I'm curious if there's a teacher, a coach, a mentor, someone that you would like to share their story that's inspired you, whether as a kid or as an adult, doesn't matter. But we love to hear those stories.
There are a lot of them, and I've been thinking about this question sort of all day. But the ones that come to mind the most are my aunt and uncle were both teachers, and they were my teachers growing up too. My uncle was my elementary PE teacher, and then he ended up teaching high school when I got to high school, and he was my driver's ed teacher and history teacher, which that tracks. He was also the football coach. And then my aunt was my 5th and 6th grade social studies teacher. And they were just wonderful people. And like I watched them like live in the community that we lived in, and just people, just how they interacted with the people in the community. People loved them. They were a name. Yeah. They still are. They're one is not even retired. She's retired, but she can't stop. And and to me, that was like a life I wanted to have.
Yeah,
was their life. And not only did it look comfortable, it just looked appealing, and they really inspired me to become a teacher, both of them together.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love that story.
That's really
Thank
nice.
You. If anyone wants to reach out to you, see all the amazing things that we've seen on social media, or just make a connection, maybe they're looking to revitalize their programs, their music programs, how can they find you?
So I do post a lot of social media content, like really kind of for band directors, and my audience is mostly band kids and band directors, music teachers, and ensemble directors. And so I post a lot of like informational video, funny videos, just life of being in the band room on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, mrs.allen.81 on all of those. And and I'm also Rachel Allen on Facebook, but that's more of like my private life. But still, if you want to connect as a band director, you can DM me anywhere. I love connecting with other band directors all over the world, because like I said, I'm the only one in my school. So getting to chat with other band directors is just some of the best time because we get to finally connect. Another math teacher can go talk to another math teacher at the school.
Yep. We're islands.
Yes, we're an island.
Yep.
So
Yeah, you got to create your own professional learning communities and networks. So I think that's
Yeah.
great. So
yeah, and that's what I did. I was sort of like lonely. My choir teacher had left our school, and they didn't hire a new one that year because it was kind of a COVID year. And so they just really didn't have choir, and I was alone, and I was like, I need to connect with people. So I started making funny TikToks.
that's it. That's it. Good for you. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
if whoever's watching live or after the show, check out the YouTube channel. Your shorts that were out there, especially that one about the milk, because I thought that was hilarious. So.
Right. It's just because it's real. It's the real story. Pete, how can our friends continue to join the conversation with us?
Yep. Well, Rachel, you are a superstar. Thank you. Keep shining that light, and thank you for all you're doing for everybody out there. That's amazing. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you're listening to us as a podcast. Please leave us a review, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And then, Aaron, I bet we have some new teachers listening tonight or watching tonight. And if there was only a really awesome event this summer for awesome teachers, that could be even more awesome.
Yeah, if
Do
only.
you
maybe
know anything like that?
Maybe in Orlando, Florida, an amusement
Oh
park.
my gosh.
Maybe I need to start one at Hershey Park too.
There you
That
go.
would be awesome. Yeah, so if you want to come join us this June in Orlando for a 3-day professional development. We've got some amazing sponsors. Fred, we're even going to have a little bit of AI conversation, a workshop there, but
Yes.
it's a great opportunity to cultivate curiosity, illuminate potential. And like Rachel was talking about, really the big takeaway is you leave with a amazing group of educators, of a network that you will have forever if you want them, but always to rely on if you just need to kind of reach out. So come join us. Actually, the registration right now is 10% off for this month. But yeah, thanks again. Go to inspirededucation.org .info if you want to hear some more information.
There you go. All
Rachel,
right.
this was so awesome. Thank you for coming on. It's been such a pleasure. Your kids are lucky to have you. And we're going to continue, the three of us are going to continue watching your videos and the things you post because they make us happy and make us feel like we're a part of your classroom.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me. It's been a pleasure. And I look forward to hearing more from you guys.
Thanks, Rachel.
Oh, jeez. There he is.
The kazoo.